welcome back to a brand new episode of Virtual Coffee. My name is Alexa Collier, and on this podcast, I chat with small business owners and early career professionals, and we discuss their journeys, their stories, their perspectives, their pieces of advice. It's always a fun conversation. And with me today are the founders and owners of Sanikind, Miles and Martica. They created a convenient and reusable hand sanitizer dispenser, and they also sell their own hand sanitizer that's made with clean ingredients. Sanikind actively helps reduce single-use plastic around the world, and they have helped thousands of people obtain hand sanitizer during the pandemic. Miles and Martica share their very unique journeys and stories, and this episode is a fun one. We tell a lot of fun stories, and they also have great pieces of advice for other business owners.
Martica and Miles are also offering our listeners 20% off their first purchase with code COFFEE20. That's COFFEE20. Thank you so much, Martica and Miles.
Now, before we dive into their journeys, I'd really appreciate if you could rate and review Virtual Coffee on the Apple Podcasts app. You can also follow us along on social medias such as TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. It's all at Virtual Coffee Podcast. As always, thank you so much for your support and happy listening. Now let's hear from Miles and Martica. Welcome, Miles and Martica. Thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
This is exciting.
Thanks for having us on.
I am really looking forward to this conversation. So, like I do for most episodes, would love to just hear Sanikind's mission in your own words. Give us a little background on the business. Just introduce us to it.
Absolutely. So Sanikind started under a different name called Disinfect Connect, and we started this organization back in March. Remember when there was this crazy new pandemic and people were getting sick in China and no one knew what was happening? So it moved over to the US and there was this huge panic and people were hoarding toilet paper and soap and hand sanitizer. And I started to look into an idea that eventually became Sanikind, but was trying to source sanitizer and realized that there was literally no sanitizer out there. So I ended up getting a phone call from my mom telling me that the nursing home that my grandmother was staying at was out of hand sanitizer and they were needing some, and she knew that I had been looking into it. So what I ended up doing was getting in touch with them and realizing that they had about 40 residents that all were in desperate need of sanitizer and they couldn't get it. And I reached out to a local distillery that was starting to produce sanitizer. And I happened to know the owners there. And 2 days later, we were able to get this nursing home sanitizer. And it was really great to be able to help tangibly and quickly a bunch of people who really needed something. But quickly then after, it was pretty obvious that this was a really widespread problem. And what we ended up doing was creating this organization called Disinfect Connect. And we were able to help about 34,000 people across the US get access to local sanitizer made by distilleries.
Wow.
Yeah. And what was cool about that is it was really, the biggest issue was distilleries not being able, they were getting thousands and thousands of emails every single day, but the nonprofits, hospitals, nonprofit nursing homes, the most vulnerable, they couldn't get through and distilleries couldn't handle, just all those emails. So it was really cool because verifying all of those vulnerable populations enabled distilleries to get them sanitizer first. So from there, Miles invented the Mini as a response to all of the plastic that was being created to keep ourselves safe from COVID.
There was all this single-use plastic progress that had been made in the last 3-4 years. It sort of started with straws, which we'll get to in a little bit. I'll tell you about my experience with plastic straws. But with Sanikind, I had gone out and sourced a material. It's ocean-bound plastic from a facility in Haiti. They also collect in Mexico. And prior to what ended up becoming Sanikind and prior to the pandemic, was working on a project that was using this plastic. And then the pandemic came through and put everything else on pause. But I had already found this great source of material. And so what we did with Sanikind was use this material that I had already sourced, had already gone down and visited and verified this company. And we were able to make a really sustainable, sanitizer solution. It's refillable, no single-use plastic. Our packaging has no plastic in it. So it was really, we wanted to be able to provide an amazing sanitizer experience for people, but keep it absolutely single-use plastic free.
That's a really interesting origin story. I loved how it evolved right from problem statement to the next problem statement until you ended up with Sanikind. Yeah, I would never have thought about the plastic of a hand sanitizer bottle. That is such an interesting problem. I'm glad you guys picked up on that and wanted to solve for that.
Oh, totally. Well, you know what's crazy is plastic, it never goes away.
Mhm.
All of the plastic that's ever been created, ever, is still in existence.
Yeah.
It's wild. So solving something like this, it seems like a small thing. Like, it's just a little plastic bottle. It's only 2 ounces, but that's never, ever, ever going to go away. You multiply
Right.
that by 12, 20 over the course of a year times however many people, right? It really adds up.
That is interesting. And it's, yeah, wild how the pandemic made hand sanitizer so valuable, right? And people are now mass producing it. Yeah, I never, like I said, I just never would have thought before, oh yeah, that comes in a plastic bottle.
Yeah, no, it was all these rollbacks of reusable bags you couldn't bring into the store anymore. Everyone's seen masks littering the street. It was this whole switch back to single use. And what we wanted to do was really bring a solution that was better than the single use alternative and extremely sustainable.
So when you guys say distillery, one, I am not sure what you mean when you say about that. I need a definition. And then two, do you guys partner with a distillery or do you make your own hand sanitizer solution? So kind of two questions there.
Yeah. So by distillery, these are alcohol distillers. So
Okay.
manufacturers of vodka, gin. It
Oh, wow.
really the base ingredient in hand sanitizer is alcohol. And what happened during COVID, as everything was ramping up, was the Food and Drug Administration allowed distilleries to start manufacturing hand sanitizer.
Oh, interesting.
Usually distilleries are not making hand sanitizer. And that was one of the big issues that we solved with Disinfect Connect was there were these two industries that needed to rely on each other. It was medical and then distilleries. And typically you're not having a distillery, shipping bulk alcohol to hospitals. So figuring out how to get these two organizations and types of businesses to integrate and have a seamless integration was really something that we're able to solve very quickly with Disinfect Connect. So the larger producers of sanitizer at the height of the pandemic were typical distilleries that are used to making brandies and bourbons, but they switched their entire production over to hand sanitizer.
Wow.
So that was one of the jumping off places. And then with our product, we were sourcing it from distilleries.
Okay.
So what we're actually selling right now is distillery made hand sanitizer. It's top of the line. It's artisan made hand sanitizer from distilleries who switched over and ended up manufacturing this instead.
Yeah. And what was important at the time was, people, while we were all trying to help small businesses, right? And you were seeing these distilleries, which normally had, what they were working on had to switch so quickly and needed to do so and ramp up. And it was really amazing to be able to help them and seeing other people wanting to support them as well. And so now the Food and Drug Administration's probably peeling that back and we'll be sourcing our sanitizer elsewhere. And of course, it's evolved. In the beginning, it was everyone just get sanitizer so we can protect ourselves. We use the World Health Organization's recipe. So it does kill COVID. And now we're seeing that people really want something that has a scent to it or, our sanitizer doesn't dry out your hands and it's not sticky, but people just want a nicer sanitizer. So we're excited to roll that out too. But what's really cool about our product is, so it's the dispenser itself is really what we focus on because that's where it makes the impact, but it's really convenient. So 1 ounce fills it. And that is 450 sprays. So you don't have to fill it a lot, but that means it's TSA friendly. And it's really convenient. It attaches to your keys or, your diaper bag, your purse, your kid's backpack, and it's really fun. So it's super fun colors. We have 5 colors right now, but we like to say that we want to be the Swell water bottle of sanitizer dispensers because we can do these really fun prints. So we can do a tie-dye or a polka dot or a marbled And that's like the really fun part that we're excited to continue to roll out. And then with the refills, we use aluminum instead of plastic, of course, but that's one of the most recyclable packaging options out there. It's infinitely recyclable, and we can do subscription based or just a one-time purchase. So it's really, we've reinvented the way that we consume and experience sanitizer.
Yeah, this is fascinating. I'm loving this background and you describing your brand. And speaking of your brand and your products, I love when people take something so common like hand sanitizer and modernize it, right? Like your brand
Hmm.
is so clean and just has that really modern, fun look where people do want it on their keys, right? Because it's modern and is stylish and looks great. And I love those types of companies. And you guys did just that with hand sanitizer in a very timely manner too, right? With the pandemic
Thank you.
happening.
Yeah, there's like nothing, we all feel that subtle doomsday of using sanitizer. You're like
Hmm.
walking in the grocery store and you have the pump there and you're just, it's kind of fear-based, right? You're trying to like prevent this crazy virus, but actually it's going to be part of our life
Right.
ongoingly. And,
Yeah.
this flu season and what have you. And, my nephew, he's 8 and he's obsessed with his. He thinks this, well, I think partially he's a little biased for sure, but he keeps it on his backpack and he's just so
Yeah.
pumped to use it. He remembers to use it. And there's nothing like having to dig to the bottom of your bag and touch all of your belongings before you actually get to your sanitizer.
Right. Right.
So yeah, it's cool. We're excited. We can't believe that this is what's happened. I think both of us are like, we never would have expected that we'd be here together, but
Hmm.
here we are.
And how did you guys meet? How did you come to be in business together? Were you working on something prior to Sanikind, or did you meet through this company?
Yeah, so Martika and I met. This was sort of at the tail end of Disinfect Connect.
Okay.
As that was sort of winding down, the supply had started to catch up and demand had also dropped down a little bit. So we were looking at the very quickly emerging sanitizer market,
Hmm.
which had taken everyone, for quite a spin, and it was coming together. And I was looking at sort of where everything was going and wanted to create a product that helped reduce single-use plastic, and actually got in touch with Martika through our business advisor, had a mutual connection. We hit it off, and we
Nice.
ended up partnering and looking into the market and decided to launch Sanikind on Kickstarter, which is where we got our start. So we went from having a disinfection sort of yellow pages website to having a modern hand sanitizer brand in about a
Hmm.
month. We switched really quickly, did prototypes with 3D printers in the US. And this was when global trade was totally shut down and it was really difficult to get stuff from other countries. And so what we ended up doing was launching our Kickstarter with a very small budget in a very quick amount of time, and ended up really putting all of our energy towards putting a video and a product together and launching it on Kickstarter really quickly. And we ended up hitting the go on Kickstarter in June.
Nice.
Yeah, he left out a lot of details that are like fun though. So imagine one, we had never met each other in person for the first like four
Yeah.
months, which is crazy. And so Miles is 26, I'm 34. So there's just also just this gap of like who we are. We had never met each other. It was kind of crazy,
Hmm.
but we just work so well together. So I feel like we're just so lucky to have found that. I feel like people who have known each other for years and start businesses sometimes don't find that working relationship,
Right.
but we work great together. And what was wild was, Miles has raised over 2 million on Kickstarter with
Wow.
Final Straw. Yeah. Really, really amazing.
Wow.
And so his experience with that was just so invaluable. But we're doing this during a pandemic. So all of a sudden, sanitizer is banned on ads. So we couldn't get the word out about our Kickstarter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was wild in and of itself. But then there was also the civil unrest movement, and we were participating in marches and protests ourselves, and it was far more important to put that at the forefront and, just quiet our noise of what we're doing to respect those movements. So we were delayed there. And then, of course, yeah, as Miles mentioned, the trade just being completely shut down. So just delay after delay and shortages, aluminum bottle shortages. It was
Yeah.
wild. So it's still very, very successful. We had over $360,000 in pre-orders.
Wow.
Um,
Wow. That's crazy.
yeah, but we wanted to get it out as soon as possible, and the
Mm-hmm.
delay was significant. So finally launched in November, right
Okay.
before Black Friday.
So it was definitely an interesting experience launching a new product like this and
Mm-hmm.
doing all your research and development as you were also creating the brand. I mean, we knew we wanted to create the most amazing spray bottle that can attach to your keychain, but typically doing something like that takes months and months and months of perfecting and changing your tooling and your manufacturing process. And we didn't have that time because we needed to get this out as soon as possible because
Mm-hmm.
people needed hand sanitizer now. So having that whole back and forth with our factories and manufacturing this while being separated, I couldn't go to the factory because of COVID protocols. So it was this really interesting experience of launching
Yeah.
a brand without even meeting your co-founder in person until you've already launched it in person. So it was definitely an interesting experience.
Yeah.
That is interesting. And it's kind of fascinating that you were launching a product that is so timely with the pandemic, but because of that, everything's delayed, right? The
Oh,
materials aren't
yeah,
there. Like that
exactly.
that so interesting there, right? You have so much interest, but you can't get it out because of the pandemic that you're trying to support and solve for.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this whole aluminum bottle shortage, there was just all these things happening. And we're on the phone with the manufacturer. They're like, we're having trouble sourcing the bottles that we had picked out because there's none left, because
Wow.
aluminum stock is in shortage, because every single Coca-Cola and PepsiCo, every bottle manufacturer has bought for the next 2 years up front because no one's going and drinking out of soda fountains, and beer companies are
Yeah.
stockpiling aluminum. So we're in this really interesting situation being a tiny business with no buying power for these large aluminum suppliers having to source bottles. And
Yeah.
so it
It's
was all
definitely a
these.
lesson in like global
Oh yeah,
economics.
global
Yeah.
economics and trade and tariffs and like all the stuff was changing rapidly, and we had to figure a lot out. But we were thankfully able to, and we're able to get product, take it from just an idea in spring and have it shipped out in people's hands
Hmm.
by winter.
Yeah, we made
Wow.
Christmas.
Nice. Yeah, that's excellent. And these are such tough challenges to go through and overcome, especially at the beginning when you're trying to launch your business. So I'm curious what your backgrounds are and really what you bring to the business. It seems, Miles, I know you mentioned Final Straw, so perhaps you already had like more entrepreneur experience kind of in that world. I'm just curious what you both bring and really where your backgrounds came from.
So yeah, so Miles he launched Final Straw. It's the first reusable drinking straw, and that raised $2 million on Kickstarter.
Wow.
He was on Shark Tank with his founder. He was acknowledged as Inc.'s 30 under 30. So, and he's just an amazing inventor. The way his mind thinks is it's phenomenal. He thinks of something. He's like, well, I was doing this and I was doing that, and I just never, I think all of us we have these. Oh, I wish that this thing existed. And the way his mind works is, I'm going to invent that thing because I wish it
Hmm.
existed. So it's amazing. And then I had plenty of experience running people's business sort of alongside them and for them. I've grown lots of community engagement and management, and then I have a graduate degree in sustainability and a graduate degree in business. So we have these really nice complementary skills. And I think that, you expect at some point that you kind of like arrive at knowing something. And we have certainly, I think our skill sets completely aid in us having a successful business and working together well, but nothing prepares you for an early stage startup, let alone in a pandemic.
Yeah, so really, I would sort of mirror what Martique was saying, but
Hmm.
the two assets that we bring is she's like the brains of the business, and I'm in the back like tinkering with stuff. And so, no, she's much more articulate than I am. She's doing all of our copy, but I'm designing
Hmm.
everything, and so having that back and forth through product iteration. I'm not colorblind, but I'm definitely
He's close.
colorblind. Close. And Martika was, so helpful in helping pick the colors. And I was picking these, what she says were horrible colors for the minis and our fonts and all that stuff. So she's been able to help with all of that sort of high level stuff. And then I'll go in and really make everything work. And I'm on with operations and shipping and all of that. And so the two of us have been able to really take all of these different tasks. And starting a business like this, when it's just two people, there's a lot to do. And we were able to, launch this business, and we've shipped over about 45,000 units to date,
Wow.
which has been really incredible. But 47,000 units. I apologize. But doing that takes a lot to go right. One thing goes wrong and you don't make it. So being able to get all of our operations in place and be able to pull it off was definitely a team effort. And I don't think either one of us on our own would have been able to launch this business.
No way.
Yeah, you seem very complementary to each other. And this partnership's reminding me of, I don't know if you guys are Marvel fans, but like Tony Stark and Pepper Potts, how she kind of runs the business and Tony Stark's always in the
The nicest
basement.
thing anyone's ever said.
My husband and I are rewatching all those. Yeah, we're rewatching all those movies right now. I was like, wow, that's exactly who you guys are. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I wanted to make sure I asked, where do you ship your products? Is it all over the world, just the United States?
Well, had we known this prior to starting Sanikind, we may have had second guesses, but you can't ship sanitizer internationally because it is a dangerous good. It's flammable.
Oh, wow.
Because of its alcohol content. So we ship our minis worldwide. We've shipped to over 40 countries, which has been phenomenal, and we're excited to make that difference. However, we can't ship our sanitizer to it. So we ship them empty. You can use any liquid sanitizer, so that's the nice part. And now that there's supply everywhere, that hasn't seemed to be an issue. But we ship internationally and then of course domestically for the sanitizer refills.
Excellent. Yeah, that's cool though, that you can use any sanitizer if people have like extra around their house, right? But want to start converting to your product of the reusable bottles. They can use what they have in their house too. They don't have to throw that all out.
For us, it's just about the impact. So if people want to use whatever sanitizer, great. But we have some if you need it. And if we can't get it to you or you like your own, then you can still use the mini.
That's great. And kind of going back to those challenges you faced as you were launching your business, and pandemic aside, just all the challenges you face while running and starting your own business. Curious what advice you have for others, perhaps other small business owners or people who have an idea but aren't sure how to start their business, just kind of those top pieces of advice that come to mind.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I mean, I would definitely say if it's something that needs more than one person, try to get someone who you really have complementary skills with. And I think that Martica and I sort of, there was definitely a little bit of luck in us ending up on the phone and talking about this, and the stars definitely aligned a bit there. But when it comes to the team, that is the business. A business are the people who work for that business. So when it's such a small business, it's really important to have a really core team that's very much aligned on the mission, understands what needs to happen to make that business go. And something that I've found with this business for sure, and my past one with Final Straw, is having this larger mission of single-use plastic reduction really just keeps everything going. And I swear there's more luck, there's more serendipity with all these things. People want to help out. People want to talk to you. You have a business that's solving a problem for that person, but it's also solving this larger societal problem and helping the environment. And when that happens and people understand that, everything just seems to go a little bit smoother, and the door opens just a little bit wider, and you can get your foot in places that it might be a little bit more difficult to otherwise.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I think that you might find people. We've definitely interviewed people, or whether contractors that we've worked with, where your gut just kind of feels like something's slightly off. And I think that there's just something to be said for like going with your gut. If you really like working with someone, then that makes all the difference. It's a difference between kind of having it feel like work constantly or play, because we work 70 hours a week consistently. We don't have our weekends back yet. But why? Because we're making an impact. We're in touch with that. And our whole team is, and I say whole team, we're about 2.5 people. But all the contractors we work with and everyone that we surround ourselves with, it's so critical. And for us, I would say that personally, we each also, we're constantly looking at what we can improve and what we can fix. And I think that for a long time we thought, oh, once we get this done, we'll have arrived or like something, then it'll work or something. And it is that never happens. At least we haven't found that utopia. And I think that that's why we have been able to do this so quickly and love it so much, is because there's always something else to fix and do and improve. And we like that process. But you definitely have to love that part of the journey. Otherwise, you just are in a high anxiety state constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, all great pieces of advice here. Having that core team, whether it's one other person or 5 other people, right? Having that person you really vibe with and can create a friendship with as well as a partnership. And then I love that piece, Miles, on solving a personal problem for people, but also a bigger, perhaps more worldly problem, right?
Mhm.
Where a consumer can say, "Oh, great, I've been looking for this product, but also I know I'm contributing to something greater." That makes people want to buy it even more because it fulfills them personally and beyond that as well. And then, of course, that passion and drive, always looking ahead on where you can evolve and take the business. And kind of on that topic, I'm interested in hearing your future milestones for Sanikind. Would you ever go into other reusable products? Like, is that on the horizon, or is it really just staying focused on the current products and getting them out there to as many people as possible?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a little bit of each. Martika and I were listening to this episode of this podcast called How I Built This, and
Nice.
we heard the one with the founder of Swell water bottles, and we were listening to it. We're like, oh my God, this is us, except instead of water bottles, it's sanitizer dispensers. And we started to look into how to really grow and what they did to grow what is a very saturated market of reusable water bottles and
Right.
really become one of the leaders in it. And I think that's really where we're trying to take Sanikind, is to grow this into a business that is, everyone's going to be carrying sanitizer with them from here on out. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people.
Yep.
And having something that's reusable, looks good, you feel great using, and can definitely be a bit of a, it's a conversation starter. It's this thing on your keychain. It looks different. Most people don't have something like this on their keychain. And being able to create a product like that and really help people make a little bit of a difference every day with a product that they're using continuously is really great. And what we've been able to do so far is we have reclaimed the equivalent of about 118,000 plastic bottles from the ocean already to date.
Yeah,
And this is
wild.
not even a year in business. And we've been able to also help prevent about 350,000 disposable sanitizer bottles from being purchased and then thrown away. And our goal is to save the equivalent of about 5 million plastic water bottles from the ocean. And we're definitely on the path to achieving that soon. So it's been really amazing to be able to launch a business and have such a warm reception and be able to get it into people's hands and be able to also help the environment at the same time.
Yeah. I think what we want to continue to lean into, if we have specific goals, but we only were able to do this because people care and they care about the environment. And amidst a whole pandemic, they still wanted to care about the environment. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. So our backers on Kickstarter, we have so many people that have given us such great ideas and feedback, and involving them has been critical to our success, and we'll continue to do that. We have, it's very humbling at times when you screw up and you do something wrong and people are like, no, I don't like that, but I do like this, and how about this idea, and oh, I love this color, that one's not so great. And that's been amazing, and we want to continue to iterate and make new colors and new products that people really want and use. So we definitely have some products that we're thinking up, and becoming a B Corp is really important to us, and climate neutral. We're already part of 1% for the planet, so that means that 1% of our profits go towards an environmental nonprofit. And there's volunteering. It's really wonderful. It was started by the founder of Patagonia. And then, really specifically short term, we're starting to raise money, which is exciting, especially as a female founder. The odds are against us when it comes to that realm. And I personally love a challenge. So we're excited for that, but that's going to enable us to come out with those new prints and then expand into retail and hire out a great team. So it's exciting times for us.
Definitely. And yeah, Miles, those numbers you shared are incredible. And to your point, not even being a year in, that's amazing. And it just seems you both just have the very focused and driven mindset, and you truly understand what your mission is, right? Deep into your core, into your heart, and just taking that and keeping that front of mind with everything you do. I think that's one of the best things you can do for a business, is just to have that mission and stay focused on it. And it's so clear that you are both driven by that one mission. And I think that's incredible and will just take you so far and impact the world in great ways. So it's just incredible to hear.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. And so I know you mentioned too that right now you're working, 70+ hour weeks. More of a kind of a more fun life question, but just interested in knowing if you found any best practices of balancing work, life, family, other hobbies, etc. Because I'm sure it's easy to never shut it off, the Sanikind part of your brain, but is there ways you are able to shut it off when you need to recharge? Just interested if you have any best practices there.
Yeah, definitely a learning curve for us. I'd say like really know what makes you happy. If you're going to have this big thing that takes up 70 hours of your week, there is only so much time, and you kind of have to cut the fat off your life of things that don't serve you. So like Miles was just paragliding on Friday afternoon. He loves working from abroad. He loves inventing things. So I always know he had a good time away from Sanikind. And he's like, well, I was thinking of inventing this thing and selling it to so and so, and they could, and it's hysterical. I'm like, oh, phew, he's doing well. And then for me, it's like I love to go on short trips and adventures, and I'm going to Costa Rica to go on surf retreat this spring later, and I love gardening and home projects. So that to me is what makes me really happy. And so we sort of cut out the other things that don't quite serve us and double down on those things that make us really happy. And that way you end up living this really fulfilled life. And I think also Miles and I are not great at celebrating our wins. We've had some incredible wins. It's like you're featured in Forbes and Authority magazine and BuzzFeed, and this much plastic and saved, and there's so many wins that we've had. Or we just launched a new website and new colors, and to us it's like, okay, what's the next thing? It's sometimes we forget to even say congratulations to each other on the phone or on Zoom before thinking about all the other things we have to do. So one thing I think we've gotten better at is just really nurturing a practice of gratitude for what we've done. And it's actually, when I sit back and think about it, I get moved, truly moved to tears of gratitude of how much we've accomplished in the short time that we've started this. And I think if you can do that amongst things, you're kind of like, oh wow, this is a journey. I'm doing okay. Like, you're doing great, sweetie. It's okay. So that's been really important.
Yeah, but at the same time, we've made so many mistakes. It's incredible how many mistakes we've made, and we've still been able to have these things that we're like, oh, we should be congratulating ourselves for these other things too. So I think it's being it's so humbling. Starting a business, it really is not easy, no matter what business you're getting into. And having the ability to bring your friends and family into that, to have that support from everyone that you know, to really put yourself out there as like, I am running this business and this is what everyone knows I'm doing right now. And having that drive to really make something successful. It takes a lot, but celebrating.
It takes a village.
Yeah, it takes a lot of people
I absolutely hate, I think Miles too, we kind of hate being in the limelight. And that said, my community, I just, on Instagram, I have a very humbling following. I never thought of it as a following, just they're all just my friends. Right. Saying that I'm launching this Kickstarter, I had been in sustainability consulting, I had massive Fortune 100 companies, and now all of a sudden I'm launching a Kickstarter, and people are like, what are you doing? But so many people came out of the woodwork and purchased our product, and then you get feedback from them, and then they introduce you to so-and-so, and they've got businesses, so you pick their brain and look over this or that, and that community is just, anyone who's interested in starting a company, don't shy away from that. Really lean into your community, because they'll be there for you when you make a mistake, they'll pat you on the back, and when you have something great, they'll shout from the rooftops. It's phenomenal. We're forever indebted.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest themes in interviewing guests on my podcast is, when they're giving pieces of advice, it's always about that community aspect and just how supportive and valuable that can be, right? Whether it's a community of similar products that you're selling, like in that same industry, or it's just other business owners, or even if the small business owner is a mom, right? Just having a community of moms to talk to talk through that part of your life. It's just, yeah, always focused on the community. I think that's great advice there. And I also really loved the celebrating the wins. And I think also celebrating the mistakes, right? Because either way, it's a lesson learned. You can now make your business better because you made that mistake. So just taking the time to pause and almost embracing the moment you're in, I think that's so important. And as a society, we don't do that, right? Whether you're
No.
running your own
Yeah.
business or not, right? Like I have a corporate classic 9 to 5 job, and I don't do that either. It's always on to the next project. Like as soon as you're done with one, great, what's next? And we just need to pause more. So I love that. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, it's such a good point. I mean, I didn't really think about that too much, but we're never allowed to make mistakes. As a kid, you're not allowed to make a mistake. As in your corporate jobs, it's you're being judged and promoted based on how much you do well and right and perfect and better than someone else. But honestly, being able to just sit back and kind of laugh and I don't know if we're there about celebrating our mistakes. Some of them have been pretty costly, but it's also just kind of funny and you look back and it's just you have to expect it. And I think that's the thing is like we've expected mistakes to happen and we continue to do so. So you get better at mitigating those, but when they do happen, it really is part of the ride. Like the sooner you fail, the sooner you can succeed and get on with things. And I have to say, Miles and I think are really, I'm not going to beat him up if he makes a mistake. And I never feel like he's going to beat me up if I have a mistake. Of course, I mean that figuratively and literally, but definitely both. but that's
I'm covered in bruises.
Yeah, no. we hug it out. It's totally been that's the game changers. You get to be creative and screw up and move on.
Yeah, and part of the whole mistake thing is when it's your own business, it's your mistake and you're your own boss and you're the so it's not like you're gonna have someone yelling at you from upper management. It is it's your mistake and you're gonna upset some customers.
Yeah, really one step at a time there. Yeah. And I know you brought up that when it's your own mistake, right? There's not going to be anyone, they're yelling at you or whatnot. And I think that's almost the saying of like, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed, right? That hits like so much harder, right? There's no one who's really angry at you. You're more just disappointed in yourself. And I can imagine that's very hard to get over. So it was interesting that you brought that up. That almost extreme ownership piece can be very difficult when it is just you and your partner there.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, moving on to a more happier question here. We don't need to continue diving down the mistakes. The last big question I always end my episodes with, and I'd love to hear from both of you, is in this moment, what is your proudest accomplishment? And of course, it can be about your business or it can be about a completely different topic. Just kind of the first thing that comes to mind when I ask you what your proudest accomplishment is.
I think it's our sustainability. Like, I think that's just, it's really nice to be so connected to the difference that we make. As someone who, I have worked in remote parts of the world working on waste management policies for countries. And I felt like I was really connected then. And when I worked in corporate sustainability, I didn't feel that connected. I kind of felt like I wasn't pushing the needle forward. And in this business, I feel so proud of saying that we quite literally have reclaimed this much plastic that was going to be in the ocean forever, and it just continues to grow, and that we're preventing this much from going into a landfill. That feels really, really great. And that's what keeps us going. And then being able to kind of pivot on a personal level, be able to pivot in a time I was really scared. I had been let go at the beginning of the pandemic and just kind of couldn't believe it. And, I have my student loans and being able to pivot quickly and stay true to what means a lot to me and what I've been working for. Yeah, I'm kind of, it's one of those like, oh, I'm proud of myself.
Good job.
Yeah.
What about you, Miles?
I mean, the sustainability thing is definitely up there, but on top of that, I think my biggest accomplishment with this that I feel personally is that we took an idea in the midst of the world crashing down and turned it into a product, and we're able to get a physical product with a complicated supply chain of plastic being collected in Haiti and manufactured and shipped to a customer in like 9 months
Yeah.
without, with so much happening, with Zoom being the main means of communication. You can't check things out in person. You can't even meet your co-founder 2 states away for months. And I remember the first product that had landed in someone's hand. We had our first stuff start going out for our Kickstarter backers, and I got the shipping notification that the first package had been delivered.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember calling Martica. I'm like, we did it. we went from idea, and now it's like someone has
And not
the
only that,
first
but
one.
people love it.
And they liked it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
After like 5 months or even more than that, you're like sitting on the edge of your seat, like, oh my gosh, what if people hate it?
Yeah.
We didn't really think about that. Oh my God, what if they hate it? And they don't, they love it.
Yeah. So bringing it from idea to reality in record time with a limited budget and a few very dedicated people, I think is just a massive accomplishment.
Yeah. I mean, just congratulations on those accomplishments and just everything you've done so far with Sanikind. And I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes and where you take it, and just that impact increasing and those numbers increasing. I'm really looking forward to following your journey further. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing your journey.
Thank you. Well, we'll have to get you, we're launching new colors. We'll have to get you our new colors.
Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome. That sounds so fun. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing all the new ones that come out. And, before we sign off here, of course, where can people find you and Sanikind? Social medias, website, shout them all out.
Yeah, so Sanikind.com. We just we sort of did a relaunch because we came to market so quickly. Miles designed the website and it was great, and then we got to take a step back and kind of recalibrate who is our audience, what do they want to see, and so we're really proud of our new website. And then on Instagram, you can find us at Sanikind Official. We have tons of sustainability tips and collaborations and lots of giveaways and funny memes. Our memes are by
Sustainability memes.
Nothing like a sustainability meme, you guys. So yeah, come follow along. It's exciting. And I'm on there every once in a while chatting about small business stuff and doing my own giveaway of just my sustainability journey. I think it's so difficult to find products that are effective and sustainable, and we certainly aim to be that. But I think, there's so many people that are playing in this arena, and we just like supporting fellow responsible businesses. So I sort of try and make our content really a value add across the board.
Excellent. Well, I hope everyone checks out Sanikind on social media and their website and tries them out. And again, thank you so much, Miles and Martica, for speaking with me today. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. This was so fun. We appreciate it. And yeah, it's just such a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Alexa.